Welcome back to the Roger Hedgecock Show, the Aramco Group studios here at U-TTV. We're delighted that you are there, and we're delighted to welcome Mickey Stonier, who's chaplain for our San Diego Fire Department. Mickey, nice to see you.
Good to be here with you, Roger.
11 years ago today, you and Mike McIntosh from Horizon Christian Fellowship went out to Manhattan. How is it that you two guys went out there in response to 9/11?
Well, we were part of a national response team for major disasters, terrorism, and airline disasters. We're on call 1 month out of the year. So in 2001, our month happened to be September.
Wow.
So we were contacted.
Luck of the draw.
Yeah, through the providence of God that we were notified early that morning. We had pagers back then. We called a number. We were to be on a plane within 4 hours. Of course, airlines were shut down.
I was going to say, how'd you get on a plane? Nobody else did that day.
Well, some went military. Some were on the first flight out. There were 8 chaplains around the country that were there to oversee the care of the grieving family members, both at Ground Zero for the fire police, for the Family Assistance Center, and then also at the morgue.
Now, Mickey, when you got there with Mike McIntosh, what's the first thing you did? And I mean, it was chaos.
It was mass chaos. We, checked in, got our assignments, made our way to our place of service. We were immediately there, working 15, 16-hour days with the family members, and then also at Ground Zero with the fire and police, and providing the care and comfort and what we do. I serve with the San Diego Fire Rescue Department as one of the chaplains, and what we do here for our personnel and for the community and people in crisis. Yeah. That's what we live for, to help people.
Yeah. So on that day, you were there, the day after, I guess?
Yes.
On the 12th.
Yeah.
Where was your center? Where were you assigned?
We actually were assigned several locations. So I personally was at the Family Assistance Center, also at Ground Zero, and then I also trained local clergy. We do a lot of training to help clergy know how to help people in times of trauma of this nature. So we trained about 500 local clergy and then started rotating them in on a schedule to serve alongside of us.
When you say training, how do you train? I mean, you first of all, you're dealing with people who have suddenly, without warning, lost one or more loved ones. I mean, a big void in their life, like that morning they were there and that afternoon they weren't there. What are you saying to these clergy in terms of how you deal with that?
Well, a lot of times clergy, they're trained to speak and to preach. A lot of our training is training them how to listen and to respond to people in times of need, critical incidents, stress management, trauma, grief recovery. My PhD is actually in marriage and family and dealing with trauma and family life. And so there is a lot of practical, common sense things to do to help people during those initial times of great loss. And of course, as you note, I mean, it was larger than, you can capture on a TV screen, the magnitude of the event, the grief, and working with the rescue workers and our own urban search and rescue team, Task Force 8 that was there.
That came from San Diego there in the subsequent days, right?
Yes, and they served for 2 weeks. In fact, our task force they connected for whatever reason, the FDNY connected with our team, and they were serving on the pile, on Ground Zero, and right alongside the local fire department. So not many other search teams were given that place of really honor, but also the respect that was given there.
Yeah. Mickey, you're a man of faith, and I wonder what your reflections were that day when you saw that utter chaos and the utter tragedy and thousands of people affected and the whole world impacted and focused on that. I sometimes hear slipshod comments like, this typhoon is the punishment of God for your sins and so forth, and there's a biblical ring to that in the Old Testament. So what were your thoughts as a man of faith that day?
Well, my thoughts, of course, were attending to the needs of the people. And those questions were commonly asked. That is a common...
Is this God's punishment?
Or more people are asking, why would God allow this?
Why would God allow it? Sure.
And I actually serve at the Rock Church now, along with Miles McPherson. He did a great series on why suffering happens. People can go to our link and pick up on that. But it's a common question, and really the question is why are people so evil? Because really God is not the one causing. He's given us our choice, our freedoms, and the calamities that we deal with so often are the result of the choices of people. And what we see and what I saw there at 9/11 was God's redemption. God was working good in the midst of human evil and human tragedy. The hope and how people working together and forgetting the differences and all those things for the sake of care of human beings. So I always see God working good, even in the worst of situations. God working amazing grace, amazing love through caring people, and that's what I live for, to serve people in those times of need.
Now, there's no question there's that side of it. Now, of course, there's this side of it, as we're seeing on the screen, of the tremendous destruction, the evil that produced a really incredible destruction of lives. It's hard at this point, 11 years out, to even look at some of these pictures. You know that people trying to escape the heat there are jumping out of that building. They're falling to their deaths. Many stories. The descriptions of how that looked and felt to people who were on the ground watching it. I've talked to Mayor Giuliani, who was there and kind of saw it.
Yes.
And the firefighters who were there. And Father Joe Carroll has a relative who was in the fire department at a pretty high.
Wonderful man.
And these recollections, you as you listen to them, you know that these are people who are never going to forget. It's become part of their life. That this tragedy, they were there and they experienced it, and this tragedy occurred, and this attack occurred, and I'm not sure that people have, to this moment, reconciled themselves to how and why and what purpose is this, and how do we incorporate this into our thinking. These buildings were not supposed to collapse like this, and yet both of them did, and just an awful day.
Yeah, we have in our fire department, we have what we call the 4 Fs. Faith, family, friends, and then fire department.
Yep.
With the concept that, if our faith is solid, our family in the right priority, our friendships in place, then the fire department will have healthy personnel. Of course, we have the 5th F now, funding,
Yes.
out of money.
Doesn't every city department have the 5th F? I understand.
But just my reflection now, in the military, there's in fact, Special Forces have a term called azimuth check. When they get their detail and they get the coordinates of where their mission's taking them, they get into the brush. Sometimes they get about halfway there, they realign their course. And I think every year at since 2001, on 9/11, this is a day of remembrance, and it's an opportunity for us as a nation, for us as family, as friends, to do an azimuth check where we realign, where am I? Because in my work out in the community, I find some people, their lives are wrecked.
Yeah.
They're in their own personal 9/11. It could be their marriage, it could be job situations, and sometimes people have made bad choices, or just the circumstances that have gotten them sometimes just 2 degrees off. But if you travel 2 degrees off for a long time, all of a sudden you realize you're way off. So hopefully as a nation, 9/11 can be a time where we realign, with faith, our family, our friendships, and what really matters, and realign, how are we getting to where we are today? 11 years after 9/11, there's some insanity. Where are we as a nation?
Yeah.
And we haven't learned those lessons.
Good question. Mickey, thanks for your service. Thanks for being here. God bless you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for your friendship.
I'm Roger Hedgecock. We'll be back with more on this Remembrance Day of 9/11 after this.
A world without breast cancer is a world with more birthdays. And signing up for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk will help us get there faster. The American Cancer Society invests in groundbreaking breast cancer research, and we're part of every community. In fact, 1 in 2 women newly diagnosed with breast cancer turn to us for support. Sign up today at makingstrideswalk.org. Together, we can turn this walk into a
It's Timothy Green's first day at school.
What's in there? He's about to fall over.
Anything he might need. There's a box of tissues on the bottom and some Band-Aids. There's a whole first aid kit, actually.
Mom, I can handle it from here.
You don't have to be perfect
Have a great day.
That's too much pressure.
Have the day you have.
to be a perfect parent.
There are two people in the world who want you more than anything. They'll make some mistakes, but they will love you more than you can ever imagine.
There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it.